blockchain is here to stay. It's changing the way we do business. It's changing the world, from a global perspective. And even though people are a little afraid of it, I was afraid of it. Back in 2009, I was introduced to Bitcoin and I had the option of buying 500 tokens. I said, no, it's not going to work. Today, it's over $42,000 per token.
Welcome back to the show, my friend, Jeffrey Berger.
Hey, Mike. Great to be back. Thank you so much.
Jeff is not a first-time guest. As I said, welcome back to the show. You guys picked up on that. Episode 55 was his first appearance on Mic'd Up. And if you really want to dive more into his backstory and some of the health things that he's doing, including gut health, which is super important to me because I've struggled with that over time, check out episode 55. There's a lot of great information there. I was pretty green back in episode 55, so don't maybe judge on that quality, but the quality of the conversation was strong. I went back and listened to it to prepare for this one. And I do have Jeff's link tree in the show notes and the description. So you don't have to worry about typing in his name or spelling his last name right. Click it, and you're done. And all the links are there. And I made sure that was working for you, Jeff, and we're
Awesome.
Good to go. So here's our little setup, brother. Thank you again for being on the show. It's been 3 years. Episode 55 was 3 years ago. We're well into the 200s
November
now.
16th, 2020 was the day.
See that? You went back and checked it out too. Yeah, so I got a couple extra gray hairs since that moment, but things are going well here. And you're still at 0. Okay, good. But here's the deal. There's going to be some people who are tuning in to your story for the first time. And those that were back at, tuning in and mic'd up from the early days, and they're coming back, they're like, oh, I remember this guy. Maybe they don't remember everything about your story. I mean, let's be real. It's 3 years ago. And I know there's things that you're going to talk about that I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember this, right? So why don't you bring us a little bit back to your story, right? Who Jeff is, and really the things I'm looking for in today's conversation, since you hit on it in that first conversation. Hit those pivotal stepping stones that really made you into the guy that you are today. And some of the cool things, I know you transitioned out of corporate. So if you want to get to that story and just share how it shaped you, I think that would be really strong for the audience.
Awesome. Thanks again. So yes, in August of 2015 is when I actually left corporate America from total burnout. The last 4 years of my corporate life, I was not happy. And I was looking for something different because I wanted to have an impact in some fashion before I left this world. And working for corporate was not setting well with me. My health was not in good shape at the same time because I was declining year after year. Left corporate America, was on a journey it was a soul-searching journey to find out what was going to really motivate me in my passion to make a difference. And in 2018, a couple of years later, my doctor wanted to put me on a 6th medication. And I was like, no, this can't happen. And around that time, I was introduced to holistic wellness. I had heard about it years ago, and being in a traditional medical system and having family members who are in the medical system said, no, you got to go with the medicine and, follow what they're prescribing and what they're telling you. So long and the short, at that moment, when she said 6th medication, you have to manage your illnesses with medications. That's the only way you can do it. I said, no, I'm going to take control of my own health. There's got to be another way. I dove into this gut health protocol, learning that the microbiome was the root cause to pretty much everything that's out there today. And within 9 months, I came off of I came off of the 6 medications, and I lost 60 pounds. I reversed my type 2 diabetes. And within the next couple of months after those 9 months, I went to a new doctor because my other doctor kicked me out of her office. And he said,
right, because you basically proved her wrong. Not that you were trying to do that maliciously, but you were looking for a different alternative. And
exactly.
Well, what are you going to do?
So
mean, that's fantastic. She should have celebrated that, but instead, it doesn't sound like she received it well and kicked you out of the office, which is unreal. Yeah, there's a lot of people listening right now that can relate. I can relate too. Last experience I had at my doctor, he literally was Googling things, trying to figure it out. And he's like, I think you have diverticulitis, but, I'm just going through it on Google. I'm like, I did this at home already. I'm here because I need you to give me your, how many years you got, man? 25 years doing this, and you're Googling it. So, but yeah, so I'm glad you went and seeked out a different situation, but it sounds like the second one wasn't much better.
No, the second one, I went in to get my test done and didn't really tell him what I was doing. And he looked at the previous test because I had the other doctor forward my charts to him. And he said, whatever you're doing, keep doing what you're doing because you're in the best health you've ever been in over 25 years. So that was a life-changing moment for me. And it was around that time that I really embraced the fact of making a lifestyle change, which I already made, but this was the confirmation to me that I chose the right path, becoming the CEO of my own health. And that's what I've discovered, that we really need to do that because of all the bad stuff that's really out there.
Jeff, what were 3 things at that time that you remember that you did that attributed to your health being the best in 25 years? So that could be either 3 things you eliminated or 3 things that you added either into a diet. It could be sleep, exercise, anything. I just want to help our audience so they're like, hey, this guy did it and I need to do it. What does that look like? So
the first thing is really understanding what the microbiome is. It's the gut-brain-heart axis. And our body temple really is a beautiful piece of machinery, if you will. And if you treat your body the way it's supposed to be treated, it will heal relatively quickly. So learning about the microbiome, which means what are you putting into your mouth? What kind of foods are you eating? What kind of drinks are you drinking? And look at the contents of those elements because there are over 10,000 chemical preservatives that are in our foods. I've looked up about 40 of them, between 40 and 50 of them over the last couple of years, and they all have side effects. So that's number one. Number 2 is the importance of self-preservation in meditation, in prayer, in really focusing on yourself with overall well-being, because the mind is an amazing thing when you have clarity, because a lot of these foods cause depression, anxiety, even suicidal ideations. And once those are cleared from your system, your brain starts to really activate the way it's supposed to. And then the third thing is really incorporating the aspect of the physical movement and the exercise. We get, when we were younger, I was at the gym every single day. But as I got older, work was getting ridiculous with 60, 70, 80, 90 hours. And I didn't go to the gym. So now it's more on the aspect of keeping active, because if you don't, then everything just sags.
Well, yeah, if you stay in motion, right, then you don't have to try to get back to where you were. You just kind of maintain. And you don't have to, it's not even like you're going for the, in our thing, it would be like, Mr. USA or whatever, like a bodybuilding competition. Like you're not necessarily getting ready at that level, but you're talking just, staying fit, staying active, moving around, getting some cardio in. Right. It could even be like just going for an AM walk, which is something I really want to get back to. Is I learned through this podcast, and why I love doing this is I meet great people like you, and everybody has their own story and they share it, and then I learn different things from their story, and then I educate the audience through that experience. And a lot of times it's coming right from the source on the show, which is great. I get out of the way, man. I just let the information flow. And one of the things I learned is the air, whether it's the air quality or just how pure it is really early in the morning. We're talking like 3:30, 4 or 5 before the AM traffic is really
pumping
cranking.
out.
And there's something just very peaceful about it, and it's a great experience. And just to get out there, and it also tells your brain you're functioning now. Everybody's still sleeping. You got a little edge. You're just slightly ahead of the game.
Yeah.
It's like if you start the football game, but you get to do your first drive with no defense on the field. It's like,
exactly.
Can we really do that? Yeah, we're going to allow you to do that. What? I could do that. So that's what you're talking about. Just staying in motion, right?
And just one more thing, if I can add, Mike, what I've learned is 100%. That we are in a system where it's managing illness. We need to be managing wellness and looking at what can we do to prevent something down the road. And that's what it's all about, is preventing something to happen.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's that whole, ideology of you're being proactive. Right. You're not reactive all the time. Oh, now you need a medicine. Now you need to do this thing, or you're going to the gym and you're 50 pounds overweight instead of just 5, right? So the proactive idea, and it makes a lot of sense. Hey, man, speaking of motion, you're constantly in motion and doing a lot of cool things. Mentioned it in the top of the show, right? You're a pioneer, and it's in a new title that you have, Global Ambassador for the International Real Estate Fractional Ownership Company. I had to make sure that one was written down for me. You're taking on a lead role, right, as a pioneer there, bringing the opportunity to the U.S. market. You got to share how that's going.
Sure.
Give us a scoop.
So, this, I have my own TV interview series, and it was revolved around holistic mental fitness. And my business is Abundance and Optimum Wellness. And I always start the show out with, I believe we all should be living in abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. But for the 4 years that I was coaching, I talked about everything except finances. Why? Because I was afraid of it. And number 2, my finances weren't in great shape. And last year I was introduced to this concept of fractional ownership. I was skeptical, but I left my options open. Why is that? Because I reflected back into 2018 when I said, you know what? This current medical system is broken. And this is my own personal opinion, is that the system is broken and corrupt. It's all about medications. It's all about, a specific agenda. And yes, exactly. So, okay, you get it. And then when I looked at this introduction last year, I was like, you know what? If I could leave a corrupt and broken medical system, I can leave a corrupt and broken financial system. Because currently, and even during my coaching years, those 4 to 5 years of coaching holistic wellness, people were always complaining that they were broke. They don't have money. They don't have money. And I lost, unfortunately, and I'm very transparent about this. I lost over $900,000 between 9/11 and 2008 in the real estate crash back then. And over the years, tried to rebuild that. And last year, we lost another $75,000 in the stock market. And I said, this is not working. So I did my due diligence, and within 2 months, I jumped on board. I said, we've got nothing to lose. We're losing over here in the regulated, centralized systems. Let me look into the decentralized. And I started to learn about that.
Now, a lot of people heard that word just now and their ears perked up. Hey, they've heard this now a few times. And so there's going to be another audience layered into. We talked fitness. We talked health, right? Food. We've talked mental health. Now we're talking financial health, but not old school, not your grandfather's financial health, decentralized, right?
Exactly.
There's actually a term I heard, we all know about tokens and
coins,
NFTs and stuff like that. That's kind of ties into it. But what does it mean? I want you to share this. So, and if you can give it to someone who's maybe more experienced, with also making sure someone who's not can understand it. So, that's a little tricky when we get into this stuff. But what does it mean to get tokenized with real estate fractional ownership?
Sure, that's a great question. So, Mike, the majority of the digital currency that's out there, cryptocurrency, tokens, coins, they're not asset backed. All right, and it's a token out in crypto world. With real estate tokenization, our tokens, our coins, our NFTs are backed by actual physical real estate. And this is real estate that's high-end hotels, resorts, high-end luxury apartment complexes. For right now, we've got 4 properties that are international, and we've got 3 other properties coming on board. We're the first company to actually have tokenized real estate back in 2020 with a physical asset back to it. And we just released a project for NFT, which is backed by a Zanzibar exclusive high-end resort and luxury complex, living complex area on Zanzibar. So that is the best, description is that these particular tokens and coins and NFTs have physical real estate tied behind to it.
Backing it, yeah. That's see, I can get behind that. I get a little bit weird when it's like there's nothing there.
Right.
Like the NFT things, people are paying or getting credit for these digital pieces of art. Right. And I understand they have a serial number, so there's one of one. There's 10,000 of them, so now the number comes down. But if it's one of 5, now the number skyrockets, right? I can get that concept, but this is real estate is like a whole different ballgame. It's really cool. I'm excited for you. And if anybody wants more information on that, they can get it right from your link tree, right? That I have in the show notes, and you have your website right there too. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give a little bit of love to our sponsors. We're going to take a quick time out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with Jeffrey Berger. Anybody who knows me knows that whenever I discover something that I genuinely love, I feel responsible to share that with the world. And so what I recently discovered is called Magic Mind. Have you guys seen this stuff yet? Magic Mind Productivity Shot. Here's what I love about it. In this is nootropics, matcha, adaptogens, and vitamins. And I can tell you, I've been in the deepest flow state that I think I've ever been in as a business owner, especially. I mean, it's been years since I feel like I can sit at my workstation, just lock in on email, on podcasting, on client work, on my team, right? And I just feel it's like I'm big into sports. You guys know I love football. It kind of feels like in the fourth quarter when everyone else is stressed out and trying to, the clock is ticking. We're running out of time. Everybody's panicking, right? And that's when like the greats can kind of separate themselves. It's like that starts to feel like it's slowing down for me. So I get to do more things. I can think more clear. And all I'm doing, the only thing that's been different in the last couple of weeks is taking Magic Mind. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Boom. I just love it. First thing in the morning when I start working is take that productivity shot right there. But here's the deal. That flow state, the best way I can describe it, is something where I just feel locked in and a lot longer than usual. Like you might feel that way when you have your first cup of coffee and it wears off really quick. This stuff lasts, for me, hours, right? So and there's no crash for me. I'm just telling you my personal experience with it because I love it, because it's something that I have benefited from personally. I want to pass that along to you. If you're watching this on YouTube, go down into the description. If you're listening to the audio, go into the show notes, and you'll see I have it linked right there. You guys can save 20% off. Then type in promo code MIKEDUP20, M-I-K-E-D up 20, and you'll save 20% off. I want you guys to try it. Let me know what you think. I'm curious. Again, I've been taking this for a couple weeks now, and I just did a full order for their subscription model. You can do that as well, and when you do that, you save even more. All right, let's get back to the show. All right, we're back in action with Jeffrey Berger. Remember, you can connect with him on social media. Check out his website, all of his links. Again, are right there in the show notes for you. And right before the break, we were talking about digital currency, kind of got into the concept of tokens, the token economy. And so I feel like before we can get it even further into it, I think it would be smart, Jeff told me this would be a good idea, is to talk about centralized versus decentralized digital currency. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to be super transparent. This is a good recap for me too. So floor is yours.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, it's really important to understand the difference. Centralized systems are the systems that we have today. The banking system, the financial system, the stock market, so forth and so on. So these are systems that we take our monies and put in and get X percentage back. And we really have no control over those systems unless we work with a financial planner and have that financial planner move stuff around. But we basically hire that individual to do it for us because they're the expert. Decentralized is bringing into the future a better form of managing our own monies and managing it from our perspective, allowing us to make changes personally and understanding where the industry is going. Blockchain is here to stay. It's changing the way we do business. It's changing the world, from a global perspective. And even though people are a little afraid of it, I was afraid of it. Back in 2009, I was introduced to Bitcoin and I had the option of buying 500 tokens. I said, no, it's not going to work. Today, it's worth $42,000 per token. All right. So in 2017, when I kept seeing cryptocurrency coming across my threads and stuff, I said, something's going on here. I better check into this. And that's when I started to get out of my, be comfortable with being uncomfortable and getting out there and just starting to learn, because now knowing what I know today, wish I would have done this, 10 years ago, but it is what it is. It's better late than never. Get out there and
it's better to be maybe the third or fourth person to the party than the 98th person. So you're still, you're still early on in the
exactly.
And I'm just giving you some easy numbers to work with there. But going back and looking at our first conversation in episode 55, you really talked, and it's funny that you just mentioned it, man. A nice little segue, thanks, Jeff. He doesn't see my notes, guys, and he's like right on top of it. Your comfort zone, man. One of the reasons I love having you on the first time, and I was excited to have you back, is something we talk about and mic'd up quite a bit, is getting outside of your comfort zone. So I'd love to hear what inspires you, what motivates you personally to get out of your comfort zone, and how do you overcome that initial fear? I think that's the part that most people struggle with, is that first step they got to take. Yeah,
and it's a great question, Mike. So the way I look at it, and the way I look at my life and how it has led me to where I'm at, I grew up, I'm 69 years old. I grew up in an era where we were taught to go to school, get an education, and go find a job and work the job and then retire happy. Well, that didn't happen. I worked and I retired, but not happy because of what was going on. And what I've learned since 2015 is that there are a lot of different programs, there are a lot of different avenues that people can take. I think that we have been educated to be put into a box, to be a robot and do what they say, rather than doing what we want to do from our passion, from our, what makes us happy. And I found that so many people are not happy because they were taught to do what they were told to do. So stepping out of, obviously the first one was the medical aspect of it. Yeah, I was scared. Crapless to go out of that system that I had been in for decades. But once you step,
nobody told you that it was going to work out. You just had to see if it did. Almost like a science experiment, and you're talking about your body.
Yeah, we are the science experiment. We are the experiment for, the medical industry. So
but I give you, I commend you on being strong to say, I'm going to do that. This isn't working. The 7th, 8th, 9th medication they want to put in my system I'm not real thrilled about, so you were willing to, but you still had to be brave, especially at that time, because now it's not as, and it's still brave if someone's stepping out of their comfort zone, and we're high-fiving them now, but there's so much information. That's the thing today, where we have this secret weapon people take for granted. It's called Google. My God, YouTube. I don't know how to do it. That is just not an excuse anymore.
Right.
You know how to do what? Change a tire on a car. YouTube it. Start a bank account. I'm 16 years old and YouTube it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ask a mentor. I don't have a mentor. Go to the bank and ask them how to do it. There's just no excuse anymore. I'm really getting that verbiage out of my daughter's head. I don't know, Dad. Well, we're going to figure it out because I don't know yet either. This is exciting. Let's go. We're going to do it together. And the words I can't, gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? She challenged me, Jeff. I said, we're getting rid of I can't. We're going to turn it into I can. And I did this little thing. She's driving with me in the back seat. And I said, she always wanted me to have like her toys, whatever little. She still loves it. She's 8 now, Isabel, and she still loves hand-sized toys and stuff. So she's got these little action figures, and she's like, make them drive, Of course, I go along with it. So I'm driving around, People at the stoplight are probably think I'm crazy, and I love it. I don't care. If she's laughing, I'll do it for a crowd of 1 million people. And so I'm making them talk to each other, and they're on the steering wheel. Well, I'm focused on the road, guys, so don't worry. But I'm at the stoplight, so I can get a little more animated. I'm watching for the red turning green. She thinks she has a magic power. I tell her to count to it, pick a number, count to it, and point. And I'll tell you what, like 3 times in a row it worked. So she actually thought she had this magic power to change the light from red to green. But what I did is I had her 2 characters. One said I can, the other one said I can't. And every time the one said I can't, it would fall down to the bottom of the steering wheel. And the goal was to get to the middle and the top. And obviously the steering wheel meets in the middle. And so she learned that the one guy, that character that kept saying I can, would continue to advance. And the other one kept coming down. So even myself now, I'll say I can't just in quick passing or we're running late or something. I'm like, oh, you want to go back and get another toy? We're on the way back to mom or whatever. Can't do that right now. I catch myself. I'm like, all right, it's going to take 5 seconds. Let's get it, whatever. She'll call me out. She's like, you just said I can't, But I got that out of her verbiage, but she challenged me. This is what's great about kids. They'll accept what you say, but they're challenging in a good way, which is how we all should be. Entrepreneurs are very much this way. You and I are like this. The doctor says 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th medication. You're like, pause. I need some more information. My daughter said to me, well, you can't fly. If you say you want to fly right now, Dad, you physically can't fly. So that you can't fly. So you can't say you can fly. I go, I can fly. Let's go to the airport. We get in an airplane. We just figured out how to fly. And she's like, got me. So, it's just about perspective. Right. I know I kind of sidetracked our story a little bit, but the idea is the I can attitude that you had into, man, I don't really know all this stuff about decentralized or, I may have missed the boat the first time around when Bitcoin hit and I could have had this huge multiple. All right, maybe I missed it, but I'll tell you what, I'm going to get to the party now and I'm going to figure it out. And you've done that, man. Yeah. So last thing, there's a couple more things. We got time for maybe one more question, 2 more. Anyone who's tuning in right now, Jeff, and they're like, man, I like real estate. I like decentralized. I like the token economy. I'm going to get into this, learn it, potentially learn from you. What's the next step for that person? They're like, okay, Jeff, you got my attention. Now what?
The next step is to really reach out to me and start a conversation. Let's talk about it. When I was introduced to this, said there's no way that I would have the money or at that time, the interest of investing in commercial real estate, international real estate. After I stepped out of my comfort zone, it became very, very clear that this was an opportunity for anybody who was looking to make some changes in their current financial situation to go from a centralized to a decentralized and make some potentially significant changes in their life. And the best thing to do is reach out to me. I'll provide some information. We can talk about their current situation and determine if this is the best option.
It's awesome. Well, I appreciate you being a resource for me, a friend. I mean, when we reconnected just recently, you gave me a lot of this information kind of through the fire hose, which I was excited for. And then I'm like, oh, we got to get this on the show. This is good, right? So once I learned a little bit more at first, when you reach out to me, I'm like, I don't really know if that's something for the show. And then once you're like, wait, hold on, let me explain it to you, just like you did today, made it easy to digest. And here we are, helping a lot of people now move forward in that next step in their journey as well. And speaking of journeys and stories, I'd like to put a bow on the conversation. I think we may have done this back 3 years ago, but the thing is, every 3 years, we're a different person.
Exactly.
And I hope that we continue to learn, grow, adapt, change, be brave, step out of our comfort zone multiple times, not just once in your life, once a year, multiple times. And so you're the author and protagonist in your own life story, right? And you get to write the ending, and God willing, you continue on your health journey and you continue to live a long, prosperous life, Jeff, you're looking back on it, you're reflecting, and you get to define your legacy. What would you like that to be?
My legacy is my legacy that I would like to, when I leave this world and go to the higher ups there, is to have impacted over 1,000 families, being able to provide a vehicle, pathway for them to make significant changes in their life so they can live like I am today, living in abundance and optimum wellness, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. Holistic, mental, and financial fitness is a new path to wealth. And wealth does not mean money. Wealth is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and financial. It's a combination, and it's it's a part of the formula.
Yeah. Well, I love it, man. You are doing it already. I know you've helped a lot of people with this, both through podcast interviews. I believe you mentioned, webinars. I've seen that webinars come through on your LinkedIn feed. So I know that you're active in doing that. You're educating.
Correct.
You just said the number 1,000, which I commend you for. But also, I personally know you now a couple times hanging out here. We got lunch one time. 1,000. I mean, that's maybe just in the next couple of years. Like, you're going to blow that number out of the water, especially in the digital age.
Yes.
I mean, you continue to build up, get yourself a YouTube channel going. I mean, this is going somewhere and fast. And the cool thing is you're, again, to not overuse the word, but I think properly use the word pioneer, I think is the right term for it. You're a trailblazer in what you're doing. And so I appreciate you coming on the show, giving people this information. You're welcome. I like to end every episode on a great note here. Be great and be grateful. And I'm super grateful for our friendship, for you coming on the show. Cheers, my man. I like the red. I like the red mug. Cheers. And I know you're, a local guy, so I'm going to say go Bills. Season's probably over when this comes out, and hopefully it's over with some hardware this time around. That'd be great.
Awesome. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Love you, brother. Cheers.